Dude, let's go. I'm super excited.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. I got Ryan Atkinson with me. He is the co-founder of Spacebar Visuals and Magic Media. He has his bachelor's in business management and marketing analytics from the University of Iowa. Ryan has a unique perspective as he's managed over 65 personalities, volunteered with the Special Olympics, and for fun, you can find Ryan reading, working out, watching sports. I think he was raised in Iowa, maybe?
I sure was raised in Iowa, born and raised. Very proud to be born and raised in Iowa.
Started creating content at the young age of 13. Now he's here in Austin, Texas. I know a little bit about what he's doing, but I'm really excited to see where this conversation goes. Ryan, welcome to your episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. Super excited to be here down in Austin, Texas now. Born and raised in Iowa, lived in Boston, Massachusetts for a year. Thought it was too cold and decided to come down to Austin, Texas. So yeah, it's been a year and a half here and it's been awesome.
How many, if you had to guess, how many people from Boston have you met in Austin? Because I feel like there's a crap ton.
Yeah, there's a lot from Boston, a lot from California. Every time I talk with someone from Boston, I'm like, yeah, like I was there for like a year and like, and they're like, oh, how'd you like it? And I was like, yeah, it's a great city, but like, yeah, really not for me. You have that Northeast attitude, and being raised in Iowa, probably the friendliest state I've ever been in, it's a little bit different.
How about Austin compared to Iowa, as far as friendliness goes?
Yeah, I think Austin's a super friendly city. There's a lot to love about Austin. Iowa is like over the top friendly, and I can kind of give an example of this. Winter of like 2021, I was back home, and we were at like a hotel, and there's like a lady struggling to open the door to the hotel, and she's like kind of struggling. My mom literally gets up and like sprints across the room to start opening the door for her. And it was like super, super nice when you say it, but you're just there. You're like, oh my God, I'm back in Iowa where people are over the top Midwest nice.
I want to go to Iowa.
You know, people.
I love friendly people, and it makes stories like that. It's like heartwarming, you know?
Yeah, Iowa has like so many. Everyone there is going to be super friendly, but for like activities to do, not knocking Iowa, there's not a lot to do there. It is flat cornland. Great football though. Hawkeyes ranked number 16 in the college football playoff, but things to actually do, I don't know if there's too much to actually do in Iowa, but that's okay. It's a friendly state.
How about Iowa compared to Japan?
Iowa compared to Japan.
And here's why. There's a little logic.
Yeah, a little bit of logic.
I've had 3 people on, and they were all military, and all had a time when they stayed in Japan.
Yeah.
And they all said between traveling to different parts of Asia, different parts of Europe, different parts of the U.S., all of them, and none of them knew each other, so they all said this independently. They said Japan was hands down the friendliest place on planet Earth they've ever been to.
Japan was, so for context, everyone, I was there like 2 weeks ago. I went by myself for like 10 days. Super friendly, like stupid friendly there. I don't know anything from like any Japanese, as you can probably guess. But I got by with just saying like arigato, which is thank you, as the only Japanese word. And I can give like 2 stories on this real quick. I'll give one. I was in a dumpling bar one time, just eating at the bar, enjoying my dumplings, great dumplings, like $5 for like 14 dumplings. So it's a stupid good deal there. But a man's cane like fell over, and I like ran over, and like the Midwest in me was like, oh, here's your cane that fell on the floor. And he's like, oh, like, thank you, like bowing like a bunch to me. And so I went back to eating my dumplings and whatnot. And at the end of the meal, the guy comes over and he like nudges me. He's like, and I turn around and he has like a plate with like 2 dumplings on it. And he's like for you, like from me for you. And it was just like so heartwarming because like, I don't know, I don't speak Japanese, he doesn't speak English, but like niceness like really travels across the world, and like that curiosity and just like generosity is like so big. So Japan was also very nice.
Yeah. I've never thought about that. Yeah, that there's certain actions that despite language, background, geographical location, it's like universal, just kindness. You know?
Yeah, and I think it speaks to like just like putting a smile on your face. Like I think it's just like a universal symbol of like happiness and like friendliness. And even though I didn't speak any Japanese, I was happy to give him his cane and just like smile and like bow back to him. So yeah, a smile goes a long ways.
Yeah. Let's see. First off, Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry
I know
Christmas.
we're not
I
quite
love
there
the
yet,
setup.
but
The setup is so cool.
That make my day that you like it so much. So we won't hark on Christmas for a long time, but who are you most excited to spend time with this year?
I'm so excited to see like my mom and like I'm excited to see my whole family.
Okay. Are they back in Iowa?
Yeah, they're all back in Iowa. So I'm heading home here in December, just to see them, be home for about 2 weeks and whatnot. But I'm probably most excited to see my mom.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mom.
We share that in common. I don't know. I'm not just saying this to butter her up because she literally doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So
Mom.
It's not like she's going to hear this. But yeah, man, me and my mom have a special relationship. So I think her, and as far as like outside of families, I have a friend named Jesse.
Okay.
And I'm super excited to hang out with Jesse a little bit.
Yes. Where's a hometown for you?
Sacramento, California. So
Sacramento. Okay.
Up north.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've never been to Sacramento. I haven't been to California like too much, but like I want to get to Sacramento and like actually spend time there. My roommate in Boston was actually from Sacramento, and he really liked Sacramento growing up. Adrian Lauderdale. Shout out to you, Adrian.
Don't know him, but shout out Adrian.
Yeah, shout out Adrian. But if you didn't know him, that would have been crazy.
Well, I guess, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, so probably not. I was going to say if we were the same, I mean, I'm 36.
Okay.
So if we were both like 30,
There's a
maybe
chance.
I would have
There's a
known him
chance.
because we could have been in the same grade. And like the town I grew up in Folsom, even though our graduating class was like 800 to 900 people, I feel like we all knew each other. Maybe not intimately, but like I knew who Ryan Atkinson was, or I knew whoever it is. So
that's what I think is so crazy about like those California schools and even Texas schools is like my graduating class was 53 students.
Wow.
53. There's 10,000 people in my hometown, but 53 students. So when I hear like some class has like 800, 900 people, it always blows my mind. It's such a different experience.
It's an army. It is
an army.
And you didn't know anybody outside of your class because then you quadruple that for the freshman.
Oh my gosh.
So like I had no idea who if I went through even like the junior class, I think I knew one dude who was a grade younger than me, but you just don't have time. To talk to that many people.
And that's such a different experience from like what we had is because like, so whatever you could dip up like a grade or two either way. So like I was friends with like older kids that were 2 years older than me or like kids that were like 2 years younger than me.
You had to be.
Yeah, you had to be if you want to have friends in high school. If you want to have friends in high school, you have to dip up. But yeah, it was a good experience, but it would be totally different doing like 800, 900 people. Just I feel like that's like basically a college campus at this point.
Yeah, it was a really big school. It got to a point in that town where they had to build a second school. So and then they split it up just because it was turning into too much of a monster. And like Austin, there's just a ton of people flocking to this town. And so, big school.
I was gonna say I feel like you get like your east and your west or your north and your south, and like it just changes the whole dynamics of like the town.
Yeah, totally. So you've been to you mentioned that you haven't been to California.
Yep.
But you were raised in Iowa, and places that you could see that I could find out about anyways was Hawaii, Minnesota, North Carolina, South Carolina, London, England, Mount Parker, which is in Hong Kong, correct?
Mount Parker was kind of a joke with our friends. That was in the Badlands, South Dakota. But one of our friends is one of our friends' name is Parker. That was on the trip, and he was like he's a total badass. He's a nuclear submarine engineer right now. And when we were on this mountain, he was a Boy Scout growing up. He was literally climbing this thing like a mountain goat. So we named it Mount Parker.
Okay, fair enough.
But that was the Badlands. Yeah.
Well, and it wouldn't have surprised me if you were in Hong Kong because along with all the places that I just mentioned, I also found you in Colorado, Boston, which you mentioned already, and France, and Rome, and Japan. Of all those places, not Iowa doesn't count because that's home.
Yeah.
Any one of those locations hold a special place in your memory by chance, or are they all sort of equal?
Oh man, it just depends really on like what we're talking about, like friendship wise. Probably the Mount Parker, just because that was just a spontaneous trip in the middle of COVID. Rome was such a special trip because that was just, like with my family. That was our first time going international together, and just see like my mom, and my stepdad, and like Rome, and such a amazing city. It was so cool. Hawaii was a great trip. Yeah, there's just so many. I have been to California actually. San Diego, I was in March. My sister got engaged there, so that holds a special place in my heart. France/Switzerland was the first time I traveled or went abroad by myself. So to answer your question, all of them have like a special place in my heart for a reason. I love them and I'll always remember them.
I figured as much. It's hard to if there is one where maybe done something insane like skydiving or went on a safari. Like I think it'd be cool to do a safari in Africa one day and see like zebras and elephants and like animals that you only usually see on TV. I think it'd be wild to be in a Jeep and like 20 feet away see this herd of zebra. I just think that'd be like ridiculous to experience.
I think that would be so much fun. I want to get to Africa at some point in my life. What I think is so crazy, kind of going down that similar thread, but a completely different thread, is on Instagram right now. I'm on a Reels like rabbit hole of like seeing like when like panthers and like lions are like pets to people. Like I think that is so crazy. See like a lion run up to someone and pretend like it's like that.
Yeah. Like during COVID, did you watch Tiger King?
I did watch. I cannot remember it. Yes, I did watch Tiger King.
Like that. Yeah, that one was insane for more reason than one. But even just seeing that he had this like tiger sanctuary, I'm like, this what?
Yeah, that's in Florida. So Florida men are crazy men. Shout out to people in Florida. But
I was just in Florida. That's where all my coworkers are.
Oh, really? What part of Florida?
They're in Boca, Sunrise, and Fort Lauderdale and Jupiter.
Okay, that's a great stretch of Florida. I really like that stretch of Florida. Miami, all those good areas. Especially my party's there as well.
I don't know that you've been to Florida, man. It wasn't on your Instagram.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen.
You know what's crazy? A story about Florida. I went to Miami. The first time I ever traveled by myself, I went to Miami by myself just to like see like, oh, do I like this travel thing? Got the worst sunburn of my life there, to the point where I had like 2nd-degree burns. I didn't put a lick of sunscreen on, and I'm coming from Boston winter, so I'm laid in this Miami heat for like 5 hours straight, like UV index of like 9. Literally got so burnt. So Florida has a scarring memory on me, actually.
No pun intended.
No pun intended, but literally like body scars from it. It was awful.
There's this one guy I know who believes in being like all natural as possible, and so he doesn't wear sunscreen because he thinks that the chemicals essentially like get into your skin and then enter your bloodstream, and it's just really bad for you. But he has this theory that he found somewhere on the web that if you stay hydrated and he has this list of like 6 or 7 things, you won't get burnt. So he put this theory to the test when his family went to, I want to say it was Hawaii, and he came back and I saw him at the gym and he was a lobster.
Oh my gosh!
I won't say his name, but I was like, "Hey, Ryan, how'd that all natural vacation work out for you?"
Yeah. How did that all natural water vitamins work out for you? And obviously not well.
And I'm all about being healthy, but when it comes to sunscreen, I'll take that hit. Seriously. I'll put that poison in my body.
Literally, it's I mean, the trade-off is a sunburn / like skin cancer when you're way older and wrinkly skin. So I learned my lesson in Miami, so now I lather sunscreen on wherever I go.
There you go. Yeah, same here. Especially my head. I made a promise to myself that I'd never burn my head, and so far I've kept that promise.
I would say burning your head would be a different experience. That sounds painful in itself.
Going back to Christmas for 1 minute, and then we'll move on. Why do you think it's one of your favorite holidays?
I just love just the whole theme around the holidays. Like I get to go home, I get to see my family. I love like piano Christmas music is like one of my favorite things I listen to during work. Is just like Deck the Halls, like piano themed. I just love like the whole theme of it. Everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's jolly. You get to see people you haven't seen in a long time. It's just a very thankful Thanksgiving, but like it's a very thankful holiday to be alive, and just being surrounded by your family is like super important to me. And just I get to do that every year. So yeah, it's one of my favorite holidays, just with the happiness and being around family.
I don't know if everyone's happy, but for sure most people. I've seen some angry shoppers.
That is very
in the
true.
Stores.
We've got Black Friday coming up, and like that blows my mind. And angry shoppers are not fun shoppers.
No, they're not. Are you in a Black Friday shop?
I will probably not. I will be in North Carolina with family celebrating Thanksgiving that day. But I was literally thinking about that today. So I'm not a big Black Friday shopper. I usually get my presents about a week before Christmas, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really bad like that. Super bold.
Bold move, Ryan. What if shipping's delayed? I mean, if you're going and doing like shopping at a mall, that's different, I guess.
Yeah.
You're getting it right then. But if you're doing it all online, like my buddy Adam, shout out Adam. He does 110% of his shopping on Amazon. No. Or not Amazon, I'm sorry, online. I'm like, dude, what if your gifts don't show up in time?
Yeah.
And because he waits till like a week before too. He's like, oh,
that's
it's
dangerous.
Christmas.
Yeah, that's
I got to get
dangerous.
online. I'm like, you're nuts.
Usually, well, what usually happens is, my dad will usually just say, this is exactly what I want. So it's super simple. My mom, we're kind of guessing like what she wants. She'll never say. And my stepdad's the same way. He's like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? And he's like, oh, just want to spend time with you guys. And it's like, no, like, what do you actually want for Christmas?
You're getting something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're getting something, and it makes our lives easier if you just tell us what you want.
Yes. My mom, she got a home last year, and so now I just buy her stuff for her garden. I get her a new flower pot.
That's a great gift. Yeah.
It's easy. But I need to switch it up this year, I think.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I just don't want to get her another flower pot. But she loves them, and her backyard is not full yet. There's room for... She could fit like probably another like 12 back there.
Yeah. We had that problem with candles. I feel like candles is a really popular gift for moms. Where we just kept getting like candles, and eventually it was like no more Bath and Body candles because like she already has 50.
Yeah, no, candles are the same for my family, almost to a point where like I should just go to Costco and like buy them in bulk and then give everyone one as like a stocking stuffer.
That's a pretty good stocking stuffer. I love candles. I love the candles that you have going on here. I got any candles the past like about a year or so. Costco, really? I like the toasted vanilla. That's nice.
It's a 4-pack for like $15 if
no
anyone's
way.
looking for some holiday scented candles.
Put an affiliate link on that, Costco.
Can sponsor me, Costco. Yeah. That'd be a great first sponsor. I'd be rich.
I was going to say, I don't know if Costco sponsors podcasts, but I think this might be the first one.
I should reach out to the local Costco and be like, hey, sponsor us.
I think it's a pretty good strategy. You could just basically talk about like, hey, we talked about your candles on our podcast. I'm a really big fan. Like, would you sponsor the podcast? And next thing you know, you have Costco as a membership or as a sponsorship, and maybe a free membership.
And we drink Waterloos, which I buy from Costco.
Okay.
This that blanket is from Costco. This room is Costco.
So Costco, Austin, Texas, sponsor.
So one question from your past that I had to ask you, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up.
Of course.
Who is the girl who you got in a fist fight with, broke her nose, and yet she still went to homecoming with you? I'm glad he's laughing. Yeah. And he's not like, didn't go like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Well, let's just, I'm a very joking guy, and I like to think I'm pretty witty when I think of stuff. So I didn't actually punch her. I would never punch a girl. Never would. Good. She, what happened is, oh God! So this was junior year. Her name's Allie Witt. But essentially, what happened to her was a dog like bit her face. I don't know what happened. Yeah, a dog like bit her face like 2 days before homecoming. I remember she had to get stitches. Was that? Yeah, that was junior year. So I don't know like the whole story of it, but yeah, she actually ended up being homecoming queen next year. So, and she was my homecoming date the following year. So. Yeah, shout out to Allie Witt.
Shout out Allie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that a dog bit you in the nose.
Yeah. I think she's doing okay though. She's in Madison. Her boyfriend's one of my good friends. So
okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, she was actually one of my neighbors too. So
you play? Did you play football throughout your entire high school?
Yep, I played football, basketball, and soccer. Once you're in a small town, you play a lot of sports.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was fun though. Yeah.
Did you play any in college?
I did not play any in college. I fortunately was not as good to play D1 at the University of Iowa, but I enjoyed it in high school. It was definitely an experience that has shaped me now, just leadership skills, organizational skills, like working as a team. So there's a lot of benefits of playing high school sports that I still carry to me now. But yeah, did not play in college.
Fair enough. The question that I've been asking a few folks recently is there any one particular moment in your past that defines who you, or maybe helps define who you are now?
You can take from two senses. I would say from like a personal, just who I am sense. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes like May 14th, 2010. So what is that, 13 and a half years ago now. So diabetes has been like a huge like blessing and a curse for a lot of reasons. We can start with the curse reasons. It's because I have diabetes. That's the curse in itself. Not good. Yeah. And like it is a curse, but it also is a blessing because it has made me be super cautious about like what's going into my body, how much I'm working out, how much sleep I'm getting. And it has made me like very responsible in the sense of like I need to eat like this, sleep like this, work out like this, just so I can stay alive and like stay functioning. So World Diabetes Days was yesterday, actually, which is really cool to see a lot of attention to diabetes, just because it is a chronic condition that so many people deal with. I know some people handle it better than I do. Some people handle it worse. So personally, probably that. On the business entrepreneurial side, there's not one that really comes to mind. It's more of a stacked, not consequences, stacked items that have happened in my life that have shaped me to start my own company at 24, to leave my full-time job to work on these full-time. One, I read Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, planted the seed about like what's possible in the world, just why you really can change the world in this sense. I was told my senior year, I got fired from a job, an internship actually with an AI startup. They're like, we're just kind of cutting ties now. We wanted someone more entrepreneurial than you. And so that really kind of dug me deep down, like, okay, like it did not make me happy. So to see now who I've become, very proud of who I am, still a long ways to growth though, and ways that I want to develop. And yeah, those are two things that I would basically tackle on.
I feel like we could go for an hour just pinging off of what you just said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So with diabetes, let's say you would never do this to yourself, obviously, but let's say you got super busy. And because you were working so hard, you didn't exercise, you were door dashing meals, you weren't sleeping as much. How would your diabetes flare up, and what would that look like?
Yeah, great question. So let's just say like I got out of my routine of like where I wasn't sleeping well, I was eating kind of not right, wasn't working out, wasn't getting good sleep. So my blood sugar would basically fluctuate up to where I'm having like these high blood sugars. And it's like, oh, well, what does that mean? Basically when you have a high blood sugar, you're just way more like lethargic, and like, it's basically having like thick blood that like doesn't circulate through your body more well. So that's when you see people at old age, if they don't maintain their diabetes, their blood sugar, like they start like losing limbs just because there's like no circulation there. So that's theoretically what would happen. And I mean, it has happened to me. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a perfect diabetic in any means. But yeah, that's, you really face the consequences of what you do externally within, like I said, those three categories, and how it affects your blood sugar.
Do you want me to move this so you have more leg room?
Oh no, this is perfect.
Okay,
cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So what's your exercise routine look like?
Yeah, so I work out pretty religiously, and that goes back to high school. I work out basically six times a week, I would say. I'm a morning workout person, like to get up at like 6 o'clock, get my workout in before my work day, and that just helps just regulate my blood sugars, just because I'm getting sweat, getting my blood flowing, and just being healthy in that way. So that actually stems from high school, because in high school, going back to high school sports, I would have to lift 5 days a week, and I would attend all those sessions. So working out in the morning is like basically like hard coded into my system, where like it's just something I will do every single day. And
then you have people like me who are the opposite, just in the sense that I have to go at night.
Oh, really?
There's something about having 2 or 3 meals in me, being awake for like 10 hours. I feel like also at night my brain doesn't work as well.
Okay,
so
fair.
Being able to show up and just put in my music or a podcast, and lifting weights does not take a lot of mental capacity, so you can just sort of just go through your, and I love it, man. And I feel like the crowd, at least at the gym, just at the gym I go to, it's a lot more people around my age who are really serious about working out. And I feel like in a way, we all sort of motivate each other. To be like, I see Ryan working hella hard over there. Like, I got to work hard too, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like once you start getting the routine of like either going in the morning, going at night, you start to see like the same people like every single time. Or that's the morning experience. But yeah, there are a ton of benefits going at night. Like you have 3 meals and you probably feel way energized. Like sometimes I wish I worked out at 3 when like my brain's like off.
Afternoon workouts, dude, I don't know if I could get away with that with my day job right now. Not 7 days a week anyways. But yeah, like 3 o'clock before that night rush gets in there.
Yeah, the night rush can hit different in a workout setting.
And I talk a lot, so that's not good for the lift.
Yeah.
So how about your sleep schedule? Is that pretty dialed in?
Yeah, I would say my sleep schedule is also like very dialed in. I go to bed at basically 9 o'clock every night, get up at 6. So I get a pretty good, healthy 8 hours of sleep every night, 8, 9 hours or whatever. I love to sleep. I love to talk with people, but there's just something about waking up with like a good night's sleep, like having a good wind down routine of like journaling, reading. So yeah, I'm usually at 9 o'clock go to bed type of person. I'm 24. People probably think I'm super lame, but it's just, yeah, this is just kind of a habit I have now to go to bed at 9.
Well, you're a 24-year-old who just quit his. Sorry, I woke up with an itch in my throat this morning.
You're
and
good.
I was hoping the tea would help. It is not. You're a 24-year-old who just quit his full-time job to run your own set of businesses, and you've also traveled the world. So people could say you act a little crazy, but also look what you're accomplishing through that craziness.
I mean that. I appreciate those kinds of words. Yeah, it's and that a lot of it stems from podcasting, and like I don't know, that's how I started on like all my projects and stuff. And like podcasting, as you know, is just such a fun adventure. It's so risk free, like low barrier to entry. Like anyone can do it, but the payoffs on it are incredible. So that's really where like a lot of it has stemmed from.
What do you journal about?
Yeah, so I usually journal about like what I'm thankful for. Just kind of wind down my day. I do affirmations. I need to be better about it, but I usually will just kind of wind down my day of like, oh, what went well. It puts me to sleep like that, just because like putting like a pen to paper is just like such a perfect way to like get it out of your mind in ways of like that I just can't explain. It's just so powerful to be able to write what's on your mind and put it down on a piece of paper. So it's usually just about my day, areas that I want to improve on. And so, yeah, journaling, I started that habit about 2-3 years ago, and it's a complete game changer.
I went through a phase where I did it in 2020.
Okay.
And I don't do it anymore. And I don't.
Yeah. What did you journal about?
Everything. Sometimes it would just be a gratitude list. Me and my buddy Tim, shout out Tim. We went through about I wonder how long we lasted. It was a pretty good amount of time. We went through a 3-month phase where we would write down, I think it was 7 things that we were grateful for.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then we shortened it to 3 because I noticed like I'd put Thad down a lot, or I'd put down like,
that's okay. I love that.
The weather, you know, I'd have these like throwaway ones. And so I felt like the list was getting ingenuine. But there are definitely a few entries. I don't remember like specifics right now, but they're definitely on days that were rough, whether it was like an argument with a family member, because those are pretty rare. We're pretty close. So if something like that went down, that was very few and far between. Yeah. Those entries would get like 4 or 5 pages. Oh, and, they'd be just a lot of thoughts. Yeah. But like, did you like, I mean, if you can like take me back to that time, like, did you remember like a lot of it? Like, how did you feel afterwards? Because after I write about like something like my roommate pissed me off about, like, I feel like it's just relieved from my mind. Yeah, sometimes. What I liked about it was being able to go back to one that was completed that I hadn't looked at for a couple years and see what I was writing about. Yes, isn't that the best? Yeah, yeah. I have heard, so for the getting it out of my mind though, I do keep to-do lists for that reason, because I've been trying to be more focused. I don't know if you find yourself doing this, but I can very much be like, oh, I need to send Ryan an email. Oh, I need to get set up for Ryan's episode. So I need to do the dishes. So what I'll do instead is I have a book I keep now, and I'll start writing all those things down so that I can focus on like the one thing that's directly in front of me. Yeah, I feel like that's a really good like time management hack, is to like write everything. I do to-do lists as well, and like that just keeps you like way more focused. And like I always have to find myself like I'll be like responding an email to you and be like, oh, I need to respond to this, also this email, but it's like, oh wait, no, I need to get this email done before I move to the next one. So there's a technique I use. I don't know what it's called. It starts with a P, where like you set a timer for 25 minutes and then just focus very deeply for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. And then you just keep doing that. And that's like a focus block. Yeah. It's like a focus block. And that's worked out really well for me to getting a lot of stuff like hammered out. You know, I have a funny story about those. I have one person in my life who, whenever I'm a recruiter for my day job. And before I can extend an offer, there's a few people that have to approve it. Well, he has a focus block where he only approves offers during a certain time in the afternoon. Oh, interesting. And I hate it. Because sometimes if I send him an offer for approval at like 5, I know that the soonest it's going to get approved is like 3 the next day. So I'm just like, damn it. Like, can't you just like bend the rules because like getting people job offers is a pretty important function of our job.
Oh,
so
for sure.
It's like when that's what's holding it up, and I'm just like waiting for 3:00 to roll around so I can call Ryan and tell him, you did great in your interview. You got the job. Congrats. Like, dude, it just kills me.
I feel like that has to be such a rewarding job to be a recruiter, especially in like today's like job market and whatnot, to like give people jobs. Like, I feel like people have to be so happy.
It is. It definitely has faded over the years. Like when I started in 2019 and I did like my very first job offer ever, that one I was like, oh, dude, I was running circles around the room.
Cool.
That was pre-working remote.
Yeah.
Now I've made so many hundreds that I almost have to like get myself damped up. Like, all right, I need Ryan to know I'm just as excited as he is. Like, let's go. Let's take a shot of espresso or something, you know?
Yeah.
So yes, it's super rewarding, but it definitely like I'm well past the honeymoon phase.
I was gonna say, I feel like you would have to like keep hyping yourself up, but I feel like it'd be like a really cool job to like let someone know, like, hey, like I know you've been off a job for 2 months, but we just got a job for you. Here's a job offer. I don't know. That'd be like very fulfilling for me. I feel like
the unemployed ones are awesome.
Oh,
those
God,
are definitely like, because some people just, I think, just money hop, and you can sort of tell when they're just up for cash. And I still like giving them jobs, but when it's someone who's unemployed or someone who's looking for something super specific, those job offers feel great.
I'm curious, what's like the most specific, like super narrow job that you've seen?
So like, for example, one guy wanted to work on SEC traded clients specifically through our Southern Florida offices, and they just don't have that kind of work. My company does, but he would have had to relocate to like California or New York probably. Because of his geographical and location, I didn't have anything for him. What was your question again? How specific does it get?
Like
usually stuff like that, or like we have the company I work for has a cannabis department. So when I worked on our Los Angeles office, I don't anymore, but when I did, I had a lot of people reach out to me specifically asking if we had openings within that, which is not so surprising at all.
That's a really cool gig. Yeah, I feel like cannabis would be such an interesting industry to work in, just because I feel like it's still so new, but it's growing like so fast, and like I don't know like what the whole persona would be like. I don't even know like what it'd be like to work in a cannabis industry. I think it'd be fun though.
Well, you have a unique perspective because one of your last 10 interviews was with, I forget her name, but you did you interviewed someone.
Great research.
I didn't
that was phenomenal research.
I didn't look at all of them.
That was phenomenal research.
That one caught my eye. So what was your, after that talk with her, had your perspective, was there anything about cannabis that you thought one way about it, did that interview, and then you change your perspective at all by chance?
There's nothing that comes to mind. I mean, cannabis is like a great tool for people. Like it helps with like anxiety, helps people go to sleep. It helps people be energetic. So I was never like, like my opinions on it didn't change. I thought it was a really cool service to like make it more accessible to people. I don't remember the specifics of that interview. But yeah, I mean, it's allowing accessibility to more people to get it in an easier way. So
now that we're talking about it, because I listened to that one as well. That one was mainly about distribution. Or she was the one where you guys were talking about how Apple Store finally allowed for apps to sell marijuana. And beforehand, there is some legislation that was blocking those apps.
Interesting.
And then she was also talking about distribution and how to find clients. So I guess since you guys weren't talking about the drug from a medicinal perspective, or you guys didn't say anything that was there wasn't like any major hot takes
there
of like,
any hot
destroy
takes.
it all. No one should get high. Like, it was a pretty PC episode.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those episodes on the Business Cloud, I'm just always curious about like how these entrepreneurs and like founders started their companies. I think like founders' stories are just like so interesting, and like the products they're building. Like some people have like crazy good ideas where you're just like, oh my gosh, I hope that one person just catches a break, because like that product could be so cool. So yeah, founder stories are always great like that. I don't know, those are like always my favorite.
Well, we will get into your founder story in a moment. There's one other thing you said a few minutes ago, is that you need to get better about giving yourself affirmations. Yeah. What is something that you feel, actually, let me take a change of pace. What is a compliment that you wish you got more and you don't?
A compliment I wish I got more, but I don't. There's nothing that comes. I'm really bad at like taking compliments from people, actually. just because I feel like I have like, it's a really weird psychology of like, I feel like I still have like so much more to like prove in this world and like do in this world where it's like, yes, thank you for the compliment, but like I still have 100 more steps before I get to like where I want to be. So I don't even know what it is.
Is there ever been anyone who's given you a compliment that was not hard to take, where it just like made your day?
Like very recently when like people told me like congrats for quitting my job, like that was like very like when some people like reached out to me personally, like old friends I haven't spoken to in a while, or like some of my friends in person, like congratulating for me for quitting my job. But that was like a life goal that I've had since I was like 21. Basically like wrote down after this person was like, we wanted someone with more entrepreneurial spirit. Like that night I wrote in my journal, it was like create something by 25. So like you can basically be done with a full-time gig by 25. So that was honestly like a really big moment for me. I kind of downplayed it in some sense, but like quitting my job and like doing my stuff full-time is like being in the position to be able to do it like comfortably full-time is just like, it was probably like one of my proudest accomplishments I've completed like ever.
So now that you've accomplished that, do you think you're better at taking compliments?
No, because like the real work with like Spacebar Visuals and Magic Media is just like really getting started. I am so excited for the future of like both of these companies. Like I know we are going to hit it out of the park with these companies. But I feel like the real work is like now just getting started. Like now I'm at ground zero again of like, I need to prove myself and like make sure I can make these successful. Just cause I feel like, I don't know, like I kind of have like a lot of eyes on me now. Some people are definitely cheering me on. I'm sure there's some that are like, I hope Ryan fails. But I don't know. We're at ground zero for both of those companies. And I'm very, very excited for the future of both of them.
How do you think, have you ever had someone tell you in one way, shape or form that they think that you're not going to make it?
No. I mean, the person telling me like we wanted someone more entrepreneurial, that was basically like,
that was the job you got fired from when you were a teenager?
Yeah, when I was 21, I was interning for a company that was in the AI space out of Chicago. That to me, like there's some things I will never forget someone telling me. And that is one of them where it just kind of like lights a fire under you. And like, if you need something to like grab your demons and like push you forward, like that is mine for me. It just like, it doesn't set me off, but it's just motivating. Cause like, I don't know, that was probably, I don't get insulted a whole lot. People won't insult me to my face. I hope you don't either. I hope no one gets insulted to their face or even behind their back. But yeah, that was just one to me that I will like always hold to me.
Yeah, I got one very recently.
Oh, tell me about it.
And I won't say who, but one of my goals for the podcast is to one day do a live episode.
Oh, it's so cool.
And so I figured like it's not going to start out in like the stadium for like 10,000 people.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It won't be there. But I accidentally stumbled upon a venue. I'll tell you off mic. I for some reason, I just want to like sort of keep it a secret at the moment. But it's an open venue. There, other people are renting it out and using it and whatnot. It fits about 80 people.
So
it's in
cool.
a beautiful spot of Austin where the whole wall behind the presenter is a window.
Go get it.
So
get it.
It's sort of like this, except it's an actual window, not a fucking plastic.
Literally, go get it.
And it's in downtown. You can see Lady Bird Lake, and it's just like
it's amazing.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "This is where the first live show will be."
I love
It'll
that.
be an author more than likely because you saw I like to read.
Yeah.
But I took someone there and I showed her, and she said something to the effect of like, I think she went like, "That's a lofty goal." Or something like that.
That's not a lofty goal.
And first off, I was like, I could get 80 people in this room today. Like,
you've got one right here.
If I just reached out to all the guests,
you got one
like,
right here.
Thank you, and bring a plus one, whether it's a buddy, a partner, whoever. I was like, I can find 80 people yesterday.
You easily can.
And so I didn't get like. First off, I was a little bit hurt that she didn't believe in me.
Yeah.
But then I'm at a place in life now where it sounds like you are too, where when people insult me, it sort of lights a fire under my ass. I'm like, how can we make this happen sooner?
Yeah, exactly.
Because now I really want to do it.
Yeah. One, you definitely can do that, and I'm cheering you on to do that. Give me some for that. There's something special about like talking about your goals and like actually going out and achieving them. And like you need compliments along the ways, but you hold those way closer to you, where I'm kind of wide where like I'm going to prove this person wrong. And here's why I'm going to do it. Yeah, I love that. That's something you can definitely do though. I'm curious. You said something about like, oh, I don't want to say like my goal or anything. How do you play that? Cause there's sometimes where I won't tell people my goal. and sometimes I do tell people my goal. And I found it actually start being more effective when I do tell people my goal, because I want to be held accountable for when I tell them that, like, I want to actually live up to it.
So I think, so I'm okay with telling people that I want to have a live episode.
Yeah.
I think the reason I want to keep the venue a secret is because when I show you pictures of it, it's really beautiful. For such a small space. It was recently built. It's newer, as I mentioned, all the things that you can see from the windows.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more of like, I want to tell people when everything's ready. So like once the date's there, the guest is booked, and it's like, I can say it's happening at that point. I don't care. And I'll announce where it is. But
do you have an author in mind?
So here's one of those moments where I'm going to I might be holding myself back and you could slap me around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I read a book this year called The Gift of Fear. Have you read it?
I have not read The Gift of Fear.
It's written by a guy who owns a company called Gavin D. Becker and Associates. Have you heard of them?
Mm-mm.
They essentially provide security for the top 1%.
Okay.
But what I liked about the book is that it was made for anybody. Like,
interesting.
I liked reading it because I felt like I got a woman's perspective on things that they might go through when they're, you've heard of the stereotype, or not the stereotype, but like, don't walk through the parking garage alone. I've never really thought about it. But for example, one of the things he brought up in the book is that if a creature walked up to a steel box that only had one entrance and exit, and it had no windows, and it was soundproof, and it was steel, and there is another creature of its own breed, and it sensed fear from that creature, would that creature get into the box with the other animal? If it sensed fear from the animal inside the box already?
From like a straight killing perspective, but like as a teamwork perspective, no.
Right, the animal wouldn't get in the box.
Yeah.
So his next sentence in the book was, so when a woman is going in an empty building and she gets to an elevator and there's a man in there and she senses fear from him, why does she get in when no other creature would do that?
Oh, okay.
So the steel box is the elevator. Elevators don't have windows. They're soundproof. They close. And so the concept of that particular chapter was how we would rather not hurt someone's feelings and put ourselves in danger than we would offend this stranger. Like, who cares if you take the other elevator? But there's something within that person who does care about offending the stranger.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that happens a lot, actually.
And so when he's doing consultations with, it's not like therapy, but he does like security consultations with rape victims. And he'll go into the situation, and a lot of times that will come up where they'll just be like, I didn't want to offend the dude. And how would I have known that he was going to rape me? But so that as they reflect on the scenario, they're like, yeah, I did feel fear, but I got in anyways.
Oh my gosh.
So the whole purpose of the book is essentially listen to your gut. Is what the underlying. Anyways, that's a very long way to say Gavin D. Becker is the author I want to interview.
That sounds like a great book, though. I love books that have done a ton of research on people and the psychology of why people do things. I think those books are always just so fascinating. Malcolm Gladwell has a bunch of good ones, like Thinking Fast and Slow. I don't know. Those books are always so interesting.
His what was his most recent one? Do you remember?
I know he has The Tipping Point. I don't know what his most recent one was.
I'm a terrible reader.
Yeah.
It was the one. I've read one of his books, and I would read more.
Okay, yeah,
it was good.
What I like about Malcolm Gladwell, I've only read Thinking Fast and Slow, but just the research he's done to conduct these studies, I think is just so cool, and it just opens up a whole new perspective about oh, this is why XYZ does this, or this is, I don't know, an advantage someone had. So yeah, those books are always so interesting to me.
Yeah. Not to pivot drastically from goals and whatnot, but I do want to get into how you got to be who you are today. You were creating content as early as 13, and it was a Facebook page for the Carolina Panthers, correct?
The Carolina Panthers, that is correct.
So was it just for fun, or what?
It honestly was just for fun. It's crazy to think about. I was that young. I was literally posting daily about the Carolina Panthers because I'm still a huge Carolina Panthers fan. We're brutal right now. I'm gonna keep pounding. That's our slogan. But seriously, I just had a Facebook page and it literally got 1,000 likes so quick. And I'm 13 years old. I can't even I don't even know. I can't even drive yet.
Right.
And I'm and I couldn't even spell some things, right? I'm thinking about certain posts and I don't know. It's just so crazy to think about at such a young age, I was like able to just post online, and like I kind of grew up through that. It's just like this digital place where you can create and just kind of get your word out there. So that I don't give enough credit to be like building my foundation of like what I am like now, but like that like really played a large part into who I am now. It's just like I was creating so much when I was so young, staying up to date with Carolina Panthers, posting every day, getting likes, and just kept going. I think that speaks to like the value of like consistency when you are creating.
So was it like it was Ryan Atkinson's Facebook page and you were posting about them, or did you actually create?
It was like a Carolina Panthers like fan page. I don't know, like Carolina Panthers fan page. The reason I deleted it, actually, funny enough, is because I got a message from someone from like the NFL. It was probably not someone from the NFL, but like talking about like a Thursday night football game they had with like the Miami Dolphins and like how they wanted to sell merch. But it was like this super official message. And my 13-year-old self, 14-year-old self was like, oh my God, like I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. So I like literally deleted it because I was like worried like, oh my God, I can't be affiliated with the Carolina Panthers. It's just a fan page. So yeah, that was basically my journey to my very, very start into creating.
So when you're 13, are you a freshman or would you have been an eighth?
13. Oh God, how old would I have been?
Because I was 14, but I was a year behind because I graduated right before I turned 19 years old.
Yeah, 13 would have been, I want to say 7th or 8th grade, somewhere around there.
So what came next?
Like just went through high school. I didn't really do a whole lot when I was in high school. So those 4 years were pretty empty.
Well, not empty. I mean, you were working out 5 days a week. You were playing
four
three different sports.
Yeah.
4 sports.
Yeah,
you were going to school. Would you say you had a pretty healthy community growing up between being intertwined with all those different sports and being in? Was it a small town? I'm assuming because 53.
Yeah,
students.
it was a 10 of 10,000. So I was very grateful for where I grew up. Clear Lake, Iowa, north central Iowa. Loved growing up there. Lake Town in Iowa. A lot of great like experiences, a lot of great people growing up, but I remember just being at the University of Iowa like my senior year and like I was born and raised in Iowa. Like there's so much more out there for me. And so that's really what prompted me to like leave the state of Iowa. So yeah, I've been out of there for 2.5 years now, which is kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, I'm happy I left.
And when you went to school, how did you decide on your major of business and marketing?
God, that's such what's crazy is actually when as an education major, I thought I was going to be an English teacher, like my whole life.
Shout out to the educators.
Yeah. Shout out to educators. Seriously, teachers are so underpaid, like so underappreciated. Like I will always hold that dear to me, but I knew I just didn't want to be, end of freshman year. I shadowed one of my like mentors growing up. He was a teacher at my high school and I was just in there. I remember sitting there. I was just like, oh, like this seems like so repetitive, like so routine. And like, I don't know if I want to be a teacher. So that summer I actually started exploring, maybe I should just go into business. I got a job at our pool as the pool manager. I got promoted to be a pool manager. And I was like, I really love this management thing. So switched to business, and marketing, entrepreneurship. So yeah, that's basically went in as an education major and then, freshman year, then left as a management and marketing major.
So you probably graduated when you were like 22-ish?
Yep, I was 22.
So
right in the heart of COVID, right at the end of COVID, May 2021.
Did you get to walk or was it like a virtual?
We didn't get to walk. Yeah, we were able to go into Kinnick. So I don't have that experience, but like, I don't know, whatever.
Do you have any fun, funny, interesting COVID stories or memories?
Nothing. Oh man, COVID was so we were supposed to go to Hawaii again, my junior year, March 2020. But of course the world shut down and like we had to cancel our Hawaii trip. We were like, we should still go on a trip, like whatever. So we ended up going to Boca Raton actually for that spring break with my whole family. And it was just so crazy at the beginning of COVID. Like I remember we were sitting in a restaurant. I don't know what the exact date was, probably like March 18th-ish, 2020. And I remember police officers walked in and like, you guys have to shut this place down like now, like everyone has to like leave, and we're just like eating our sushi like what are you supposed to do? So that was a funny story. And going to the Badlands, Mount Parker, that was just a great memory because it was May 2020, like we're 2 months into COVID. We're 21-year-olds and we were just like, we should go on a trip to the Badlands, remote South Dakota. And that was just a great memory because it was so impulsive, as a lot of my trips are. But I don't know. Those are two stories that come to mind. COVID was such a whirlwind.
Why do you think you like to go on impulsive trips?
there's just something special about booking a trip and just kind of going. When I went to Switzerland by myself, I booked that just a month before I left. I was like, oh, like I kind of want to go overseas, and basically booked it within like 10 minutes of deciding. I was like, oh, I should just go overseas by myself to Switzerland. Japan was a little bit impulsive, where I was just like, oh, like I want to go overseas again. Where should I go? I was like, oh, Japan. Like that sounds great. So I thought about it for a day and basically booked it the next day. Then me and a friend in March were going to Epcot, and we just decided that one night. We had a few drinks in us. We're like, okay. And I was like, hey, like I want to go to like Epcot soon. And he's like, oh, I want to go to Epcot too. And we were like, so we should go to Epcot. Yes. So we bought tickets like literally on the spot. So impulsive trips are so fun just because they're like, this wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen.
Why do you go by yourself sometimes?
There's something special about like going on trips by yourself. It's just a lot of time to just sit and like think about like where you are at in life and like really take in those experiences. Like going to Japan by myself, I was able to like do what I want, like see the experiences I want and like be on my own schedule. But it is also something special just about those experiences by yourself. There are a lot of times where I wish I like had someone there with me where I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could experience with someone, but traveling by yourself is just a great opportunity to like know yourself better, to really just do what you want to do, like reflect on your experiences, where you want to go in the future. That's why I use personal trips, honestly.
Yeah.
There's just something special about going alone.
So I got my passport in
Hell yeah.
sometime this year.
Where you go? Okay.
And I got it because I've never left the U.S. I went to Mexico once.
Okay.
So
okay.
I have left the U.S.
Okay.
But I really want to go international
Where
somewhere.
are you going?
I think I'd like to start with Africa.
Oh, you're just talking about safari. Yeah, start with Africa.
And I have someone who goes once a year for a month.
Okay.
And so I want to reach out to her and see if she'd do a phone call with me, just because I don't want her to like plan the trip, but just give me some pointers. Like, okay, Crystal, you've been doing this for like 20 years.
Give me a high level.
Give me like, where should the entry level person sort of wander around?
Japan,
so I think I might start with that. But for me, part of why I was waiting was because I want to travel with a significant other, and I have been very single for several years. And I'm like, you know what? I should just go.
Just go. Seriously, go. Like, it's great personal development, honestly. Building your own like character. I definitely feel that. But seriously, you cannot wait. Like, if you're gonna travel alone, just go. Like, do not wait for someone to be like, oh, like I want to go to Africa, but like maybe try again in like 5 years. Just go this year. Go 2024. Just book it. Like, that's a great experience. Like when you're on a date, you can be like, yeah, I went to Africa by myself, and it just makes you more. It just makes you an interesting person.
Right.
So I would recommend just going by yourself.
Well, you have inspired me.
So. Seriously, go. Like, seriously, go. If I see you post a picture on Instagram in Africa, I'm going to be so damn happy.
You'll see it. You'll see it. So at what point, between graduating and today, did you realize that you wanted to do your own thing?
Yeah. I mean, the seed was planted when I read Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, because that was my sophomore year. And like I was still in Iowa, so I was I would have been 18, 19 at this point. And like reading Steve Jobs, it was just life changing. I was trying to get into business school at this time. I don't really know what's possible in the world. I know I want to do something cool, and like just reading how Apple was founded and like how much Steve Jobs really changed the world it just planted the seed of like, create your own thing. And so that just kind of wound up in me for the longest time. And like August 2020, going to my senior year, I started my own podcast to start creating my own thing.
Adventures with Ryan, or was a different one?
Adventures with Ryan. Yeah, it was originally called the Business Cloud. It's still the Business Cloud in my heart, but Adventures with Ryan. And that was just a way to connect with entrepreneur CEOs. Like, hey, how do I create my own thing? I'm 21, 22 years old. I want to do something special in the world. Like, give me ideas. And so that's where that spurred out of. And then I just always knew I wanted to do my own thing. My parents, my mom, my stepdad, they have their own small businesses. So I saw them growing up, what that was like. So, and then, I always wanted to start my own company. And then opportunities came, and next thing you know, I'm quitting my full-time job.
With the Adventures with Ryan, did you ever have any like fear or imposter syndrome when reaching out to business owners and thinking like, oh, I don't have the right or like a big enough platform, or like any of that, any kind of self-doubt? Or was it always just like, I'm sending the invite. Worst they're going to do is ignore me.
I'm sending the invite. Like the worst they're going to do is ignore me. And what I was lucky at that age, and like still what I play now a little bit, is like, oh, like I'm 21 years old. Like I'm a senior in college. Like I want to like have you on my podcast. And people were like, oh, you're so young. Like of course we'll come on your podcast.
You're so cute.
Yeah, you're so cute. Literally.
that's good. I'll do this for you.
Seriously,
it's like my charity work for the month.
I was gonna say I'm doing a good deed. Hopefully the world repays me for helping out this 21-year-old clueless kid.
Yes.
That's so funny. But I basically just played it into that and never felt. I felt imposter syndrome. Sometimes I would get nervous when I have like a really cool guest on. But I always just ripped it. That's just kind of, you just got to rip it.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know if you feel like the splits and numbers game. You reach out to enough people and the right guest answer. And so you did roughly for that podcast specifically.
Yep.
And then we'll get into the more broad scheme of things. You did 82 interviews, assuming that it's only on one platform.
Yeah.
Do you feel like after interviewing those 82 people specifically, there is any part about you that grew, or were you just growing as a whole because everything was going on between college and reading and exercise, or was there anything specific from the podcast that you noticed?
I think what I harp on a lot when I talk to people that are like a little bit younger than me, and I feel like giving them like unsolicited advice about life, like I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm doing, is getting a role that where you have a ton of ownership in and a lot of responsibility for me has been huge for my personal development and like where I am today. So starting with the podcast, like I literally owned, I mean, as you know, like the reaching out to guests, scheduling guests, preparing for the interview, hosting the interview, editing the podcast, getting shorts ready, publishing, telling people, and then doing the whole thing over and over again. And so, as you know, like once you own something like that large, it just really helps your personal development of like problem solving, being able to take responsibility, being able to communicate effectively. So the podcast in itself was just like such an amazing opportunity for me to do this, something that was so like, there was no risk to doing it. It was only positives that could come from it. There's a term called like upside rationality where like the risk is so low, but like the optionality or to do something great is so high that you have to do it. And podcasting is like one of those. So yeah, I mean, it was huge for my personal development as like the overall thing.
I definitely, the probably like most bottom reason I started this podcast, I didn't even think about until a month or two ago, was putting it on my resume. But I think to your point, like if I did switch from I've told my boss this before, I'm 36. I'm like, I'm not going to work here till I'm 65. At some point, I will leave. So there's no secrets in what I'm about to say. Yeah. But I do think that to your point, I'm not saying this about me, but anyone has some sort of side hustle, when you can say that you produced and hosted 82 interviews, and then they can go on Spotify, and there's the proof, and yeah, man, it's a lot of work. And so then when they see that you were also working full-time or a full-time student, it sort of says without saying it that the person is a pretty hard worker.
Yeah, for sure. And that definitely helped me get into like jobs that I had. I remember I interviewed for, I want to say like 11 places my senior year of college, and I got off. This is not a flex at any means. It just speaks to the value of like owning something at a young age. I got into like 8 or 11 of the places, just because I could speak to the podcast in depth, and like it shows like once you own something so large and can put it on your resume, like people will look at that and be like, oh yeah, like that person like is hardworking, or like they're organized, or like they can do it. So I ended up getting a job at HubSpot, which is like always ranked as like a #1 place to work because of my podcasting. So if anyone's listening, please take something with ownership, with responsibility, create something, especially if you're young in your career, any stage of your career, like you will do, like it just helps so much. Upside rationality.
Outside of, so let's set podcasting aside. Have you seen any other side hustles that either friends or like the people you interviewed, what else could you do?
Oh gosh, there are so many side hustles. I preach on this a lot. That's the beautiful thing about today's day and age. There are so many ways to make money. There are so many ways you can make money. Some scale better, some don't. You can be a DoorDash delivery driver. I did that senior year too. You could flip clothes. You could sell your old clothes. There are just so many ways to make money. If you're looking to make money really quick, I'm not giving you a rich fast scheme, but like if you want to make quick cash quick, like sell your old clothes on Poshmark. I did that senior year. Go DoorDash. That's an easy way to make money. Go Uber. That's an easy way to make money. Side hustles though. I really have only done the podcast, so I can't speak in depth about like other ones that are out there, but there's so many out there.
Yeah, I even learned recently, I was telling one of my other guests that one of my friends, his I'm going to call it an excuse. I'm calling you out, Jesse, for not coming out here, is money. And he was like, you know what he could do for a job while he looks for a real job? Or not a real job. But did you know that the scooter company Lime?
Yeah.
Apparently they don't actually have employees that replace the batteries. It's you and me.
Yeah.
People just like, you can just go do it, I guess.
The fleet managers. Yeah. There's so many ways to make money just like that. I don't know. You just got to put in the work. There's no excuse. I sounded just like a typical like 25-year-old like white guy. Like there's just like no excuse for the hard work to put in the effort. So, yeah, I don't know. Like Upwork, we were talking about that earlier. That's a great way if you have like digital skills of like ads or copywriting or podcast work. That's a great way to make extra money on the side from your computer. You can do it anywhere. That's probably your most scalable solution. So non-scalable, be a DoorDash driver, be an Uber driver. That's a great way to make money.
It'll cap at some point.
Yeah, it'll cap at some point. But Upwork, I mean, you get to choose who you work with. You get to get how much you paid, how much you work. So yeah, there's a lot of optionality there as well.
Sweet. Talk to me a little bit about how about essentially how you turn Spacebar Visuals and Magic Media into a full-time job. What that journey looked like.
Yeah, well, let's start with Magic Media. So that started from Upwork. I had this podcast experience. I was about I don't know, 65 episodes, 70 episodes in. And I was like, oh, let me go test my luck here and see like if I can start editing podcasts for people or scheduling guests for people. And sure enough, people will pay for those skills. They will pay for those skills. So I remember I got my first client, like $17 an hour from Upwork, June 2022. So about a year and a half ago. And so I did some work from her, made an extra like $500 a month, which that's a lot of money just to make on the side a month. And so that's just evolved into Magic Media has evolved from just that simple solution of starting out on on Upwork to eventually getting paid to doing scheduling, podcast publishing, editing podcasts, hosting podcasts. So everything podcast related falls under Magic Media. So we got that brand over here. Spacebar Visuals is what I'm super excited about the most. This is something me and my co-founder Brandon, we and George, we are literally going to dive so hard into this. Yes. I'm so excited. So how that started, that's a funny story. So we got Magic Media, Spacebar Visuals now. About a year ago, Brandon has had a super successful career already. He's already sold an agency for a bunch of money. He knows what the hell is going on.
Like an ad agency or what kind of?
Yeah, it was like a lead gen agency. Cool. So he sold that last year and he posted on Twitter. He's like, hey, like I've already sold a company. Like I'm trying to start another company. Would anyone know who's interested? And the stars aligned. I saw it. I reached out and I was like, yes, like I would love to start a company with you. Like I've been wanting to do this like my whole life. And so Spacebar Visuals was really born into creating explainer videos for agencies, product videos in a way that's super simple for them. And so we create like animated videos that explain your company, that'll do like explain your products, explain like a usage case. So that's what I'm super excited for. There's going to be a lot of fun coming out of Spacebar Visuals soon.
So if let's say that Costco did sponsor the podcast and it just like blew up, right?
Yeah. When it blows up,
would someone like me come to a company like yours and get help with advertising, essentially, in a way?
For Magic Media, I wouldn't say that's our real like wheelhouse. It is more of like the production and stuff, more production, pre-production, like post-production that we help with. Advertising is just an experience that I don't have as like a podcaster myself, so I'm not going to go sell that to somebody. Right. But production-wise, like that is stuff like that we help with and whatnot. But advertising, I could probably send resources, but I'm not going to pretend like I know what the hell I'm doing.
Right. But I was thinking more from Spacebar Visuals.
Oh, okay.
Though. Who would your ideal client be?
Yeah, so we work best with like B2B SaaS companies that have like a software solution. So take like Descript or something. We could describe to them in an animated way, like, oh, here's how you can use this, or like, here's an overview of like our platform type of thing. And so we explain that with like screenshots, with animated like cartoons and whatnot. So the videos end up looking awesome. They have looked so much better than when we started. So yeah, we're like I said, we are literally at ground zero right now for what we're going to do.
I wonder if you have like a 30-second one that you could share with me and I could put it on the YouTube video.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
And then as you were just talking about it, I'll throw it up there and people can see like.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Okay, cool.
I'm very proud of our videos, like what we can do now.
you and the other co-founder is Brandon, you said?
Brandon and George. Yep.
Brandon, George?
Brandon and George.
And George. Okay, so there's three of you.
Yep.
How did you guys vet each other out as business partners?
Oh, that's a great question. So for Brandon and I, it really was just like a feel type thing. Like, when you meet someone, if like you're gonna like vibe with them or not. I hate to use the word vibe, but what really had happened is I just sent him over like my resume. We chopped on a few calls and just kind of vetted it out. Like, this is what we want to do. Like, our ideas aligning, is our experience aligning, and what we want to do. And then really from there, like Brandon put in, he basically funded it, bootstrapped it. So he put in cash for it. And then basically for me, it was just kind of like prove myself like, yes, I can be a co-founder like with you. And so that's just putting in the work and being able to get customers, make progress within the company. So it was really a trial. I don't want to say trial run, but Brandon and I we've been on the same wavelength since we met. Like, I know what he wants. He knows what I want. I know how he works. I know, he knows how I work. So yeah, I don't have a hard framework for that, but like, I feel like you just know if you're going to get along with somebody.
Yeah, definitely. And how about George? When did he come along?
So for George, Brandon runs Spacebar Ventures. That's the parent company. Okay. So he runs like 5 different companies. He does like amazing work. And so George was brought on to help with like Spacebar visuals, but also like the other like 4 or 6, however many companies. So George was just like basically extension. He is definitely part of the founding team. George is a rock star. It's it's a kick-ass team. They're awesome.
Brandon almost reminds me. Do you know who Steve Bartlett is?
Yeah, I've heard of. Is that Diary of a CEO?
Yes.
Yeah.
He sounds like a Steve Bartlett in the making, because I don't know a lot about Steve's past, because I don't know if he's actually been interviewed himself, but when I've listened to enough of his episodes, that I've heard him just make comments, and I'm like, all right, this guy sold a few businesses, he built a few businesses. Yeah. He's now doing the podcast that's getting like, it's an insane amount of downloads per month, specifically in Europe. I don't even know what his global numbers are, but yeah, Brandon, all 3 of you seem like you're rock stars. I only know you, but the way you describe Brandon and George,
they're awesome. Yeah. They just have like such like good business knowledge, and like that's what like, and they just like get like shit done. Like it's not like a delay in things. It's like we execute very, very fast. And like when you're at such a scrappy stage, like that's what you really need. So all of us are very comfortable just like going. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We have made plenty of mistakes along the way. Yep. It's just making not fatal mistakes along the way.
Yes. What did you need to happen to know that you were ready to quit your full-time job?
That is such a good question. It is such a good question, because it really is a question of like, oh my gosh, like how can I be comfortable enough to quit my job? And so I remember in August, I've been thinking about quitting my job for a long time. But I remember in August, I just sat down one day. I was like, I'm going to reverse engineer like what needs to happen. And so it was like hit certain revenue targets, have a certain amount of money in my personal bank account in case like this thing fails. Like I want to be able to like survive. I want to eat. Yep. So that, and then just, those were 2 of the biggest metrics that I looked for. So once I had a certain amount of money in my personal savings, we were hitting revenue targets. It really got to the point where like, is my time best spent working my full-time job? And that answer was no. Like, just because we've seen so much growth and potential with Spacebar, it really just got to the point where it's like, it's not worth it to work my full-time gig, because we're leaving so much out on the table for me to not be able to think strategically, not be full-time on Spacebar visuals.
Do you happen to have an answer to the question of what if someone is bored at their job and they do want to start something, but they don't even really know what they're excited for?
Yeah. Go on a trip by yourself. Think a lot about
perfect answer.
Go on a trip by yourself. Think about what you like to do, what you don't like to do. What do you want to avoid in life? What do you want to avoid in your work life? And that'll help you think about, okay, this is what I want. Do I want to work for a demanding boss? Probably not. So find a boss that isn't demanding. Do I want to work in finance my whole life? Then pivot out of there. And once you identify like a skill, like seriously, like go to upwork.com. Put yourself out there to find clients. That is like my number one advice. If someone wants to start their own company, starting a freelance model where you're freelancing for companies, you're getting all this different experience, and then eventually you can grow that into something where you do it full time.
I love that. That. I wonder, I've thought about it. If someone at some point might reach out to me, or anyone who's podcasting, there's so many in Austin, to hire me or as a host. And I didn't think about going Upworks and just being a little bit more proactive about it.
Yeah. Go to Upwork. There are jobs all the time that are posted. Like, we need a podcast host. Like, all podcast, I host 3 podcasts now. All of them I found through Upwork. And I have a conversation in December 12th with another person. So I might be hosting 4 podcasts soon where I just found them all through Upwork. And you're obviously a good podcaster. Like, you have the experience already. Of course. Yeah. Like, you have the experience, you know how to hold a conversation, you know how to prepare for a guest. Like, you can bring these into these experiences with Upwork and have a conversation with these clients. Like, I publish this amount of episodes. Like, I know what to do. Like, give me a chance type of thing. And like, soon you can monetize like your skills.
So were you working those 3 podcasts while you were doing your full-time job before you quit?
Yeah, I was doing so much stuff. It's pretty crazy.
You were grinding.
Yeah, I was grinding quite a bit. I had my full-time gig, like the 3 podcasts I was running. I was still doing Magic Media stuff, so we were producing episodes for people, and then Spacebar Visuals. So I'm 2 days out of my full-time gig, and it has been mentally, my brain is so much more freed up right now.
I'm so happy I got you on right in this transition.
You got me on at the best time.
Yes. You're probably still a little burnt out, I would imagine, between Japan and quitting and the last 2 weeks. I don't know if they were hectic or slow, but so we're on a scale of 1 to 10 right now today, knowing what is coming up over the next couple months, how happy are you?
I honestly say, like, I am the happiest moment of my life. Like, the past like year, I have probably been the happiest I've ever been. And there's a few reasons for that. One, I'm in Austin, Texas. I love Austin, Texas. The weather, like I'm such a weather person. It's always nice here. I journal every day about like what I'm grateful for, just getting those thoughts out. And like, I just surround myself with like really good people. I have amazing friends. I know amazing people. I try to do cool things. And like, I'm super happy with like how I'm developing as a person, like professionally. So I'm generally like a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm a very happy person.
You've been in Austin a year and a half, you said, right?
Yep, a year and a half.
How has your how has your experience been building community here? Have you had time to do that, or have you been so busy working that it sort of got put on the back burner?
Yeah, I definitely, community is a big part of my life. Shout out to the boardwalks.
The boardwalks. What is this?
So Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., a woman named Elle, phenomenal person, phenomenal community. Essentially, it's a bunch of people come together 8 a.m. on a Saturday. So that's your price of admissions, is being on somewhere at 8 a.m. on a Saturday to walk.
Right.
But the conversations are so authentic. And I have talked everything on that walk about business, about mental health, about nutrition, about taxes, about personal development, about movies, about music, about books. Like, this is just a really authentic community where you can meet people. And then I have a really cool kickball team I'm a part of. We have a game tonight, actually, but the kickball community is awesome. But I feel like it's pretty simple. I don't know. How's your experience been?
It's been good. So I sort of took a different perspective. And when I first got here, I only knew one person who I technically didn't know because he was a friend of a friend.
Fair.
I called him my loner friend when I first got to Austin.
My loner friend.
Yeah. No offense to you, Devin. I've had a ton of fun hanging with you. But I set myself a task that, whether it was at the grocery store, the dog park, or the gym, if I left that door, I had to meet someone.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
So I have a list. I don't know how big it is at this point. I'm not. I'll show it to you real quick.
Of course.
But I just titled it Austin, and so this is everyone I've met.
Dude, that's crazy. This is actually a lot. Oh my God, there's so many. Oh my God, there's so many people. I was expecting like 10 people. Oh my God, that's a lot of people.
I was determined. Because I'm not a lonely person by nature. Like, I do love living alone. Like, this is my home.
Yeah.
Only person that will ever live here is a future significant other.
Yeah.
So
and
this
Thad,
is
and Thad,
obviously, and Thad. So I do like my quiet space. But even last night when I went to the gym, dude, last night was an interesting night at the gym.
Best type of nights.
So I'll tell you the story.
Please.
I did talk more than I wanted to.
Okay.
Which is awesome. I know so many people at this location now. I was actually thinking in my head, for the sake of my workouts not suffering, maybe I should change locations for a little bit. But what was interesting was I hadn't ran into someone who I hadn't seen for about 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was ecstatic that he was in the gym. And so we said hi. We talked for a few minutes. And got a couple laughs in. And then after my workout, we got a few laughs in. It's important to laugh. And he's a younger dude. He's even a little bit younger than you. And so I finish my workout. I go in the sauna, do that. And as I'm coming out of the sauna, this individual who I thought I had a lot of respect for, and I'm curious what your 2 cents are on this, which is why I'm telling you. Dude, he was making fun of one of my other friends.
What?
Him and another dude were trash talking a guy who was in the gym, and this guy who
I
I
hate those
also
people.
know. He's a cool ass kid who, to speak to him a little bit, he had some not CPR training. It was like upgraded CPR training that he went through recently.
Yeah.
And at his work, an older gentleman had a stroke, and he was able to help out. And just he was just telling me about like how cool it was to actually have some tools and resources to be able to help this dude, other than just like panicking and calling 911.
That's so cool. Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just like a genuinely awesome dude. And he dresses a little bit differently for the gym, and they were making fun of how he was dressed.
I hate those
And
people.
so in my head, I'm thinking first off, like, how old are we guys? Like,
Yeah.
we're like shit talking each other. And it also triggered me a little bit because I was made fun of a lot in high school. And so it brought back some memories of just like,
yeah.
a part of me wanted to step in and say something. And a part of me like almost retreated to like this little boy that I haven't really talked to in about 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I ended up not saying anything. I grabbed my bag and I went to my car, and I'm driving down the road, and I was thinking about something that one of my, sorry, I'm not trying to get emotional. One of my prior guests told me, and she's like, she gave me this challenge. It was Heather Bennett's episode, if anyone wants to give it a listen. But Heather told me that what she wanted me to do is to be the man that I never had in high school.
Aw.
And this kid that they were making fun of is in high school. And so I remembered that, and I looked in front of me in the road, and I looked at my rear view mirror, and there were no other cars. And so I flipped my car around, floored it, and it probably was going 80 miles an hour down BK Road to Gold's Gym, stomped back into that locker room, hoping they were still there, and sure enough, they were. And the kid they were making fun of was gone, so he doesn't know any of this. And I'm glad he doesn't know. But I wasn't really sure what I was going to say. So I just said, they were both looking down at their phones, and I just went, hey, like super loud. And I looked at him, my friend, the one I hadn't seen in 3 months. And I was like, you know the guy that you were making fun of a few minutes ago? And I repeated what they said so they knew who I was talking about. And he said, yeah. And I said, that's my friend. And he immediately just like looked down at the ground. And I said, what you guys don't know is that he's a super cool dude. He's a really nice guy. He's my buddy. And if you're going to talk shit about him, I'd appreciate if you do it behind closed doors or do not do it at all, because he's a really good guy and he doesn't deserve to be talked about like that. And the one guy, he didn't say anything. His face, like I couldn't even really get a feel for his face, but I've also never met him. But my friend, all he could do was he just said sorry. And while he was looking at the ground, that's all he said. He just said sorry. And then I left the locker room and I got back in my car and I drove home in silence and sort of teared up a little bit. And I don't know really where the tears are coming from. I don't know if it's like, suppressed memories from my own high school experience and just like remembering some of the things that were said about me and the people that said them, and just memories that I haven't really thought about in a long time. But sort of the moral dilemma that not moral dilemma, but the guy who is making fun of my friend, I'm now wondering, like, is this someone I want in my life? Because his values don't really align with mine, and because I don't know, that's just such a shitty thing to do. And I don't even know like what I'm going to do when I see him in the gym, because now we have this like awkward thing between us. But at the same time, I was also in a weird way, similar to how you don't take compliments. And this might sound like I'm a little hard on myself, but I don't have a lot of moments where I feel very proud of myself. And in that moment, I felt really proud of myself. I was like, I had my friend's back, and even though he doesn't know, and I'll never tell him because I don't want him to know about that situation, like I just felt like I actually had like some integrity, and so I don't know. What's your thoughts around all this?
I think the fact that you drove back like speaks to like the man that you are, to like you said, like that rung in your head, like be the man in high school like that you needed to be, or who you needed in your life. I think that speaks a lot to like your personal character to like actually do that, because a lot of people would just kept driving. That's a really cool that's like an amazing that's an amazing story to like share. And like I don't know, it's just I don't know, it's tough because like I don't know, like like in high school, like I was like very like I was not a nice person in high school. Like
really?
Why
not?
I just like didn't have the experiences to like empathize with other people. And like I was in 3 sports. I was like a captain for 2. So like I thought I was like the shit. Like I'm the coolest person in the world. So I just like wasn't naturally nice. And like my role's like flipped there to like now, like I am friendly to everybody I meet. Cause like if I could go back to like my high school self, I'd say like be a nice like effing person. Like I was just not nice. And so I don't know, there's different ways to like approach life, but like at the end of the day, like basically what you said, like just be like a good person, like be nice to people. I don't know.
Yeah. What so you feel like so you have gone on like a proactive journey of sort of having that self-realization that you maybe weren't completely satisfied with how you treated other people, and you made a conscious decision to treat people differently.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think all of us go on like a personal journey at some point in their life where like they really change, and like that really happened to me like sophomore year, where it was like, okay, I'm not a proud person of like who I am, like I need to change. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I always love when people go on like personal development journeys or personal stories. That's why I love when people travel alone, because I always know what's going to happen when they do travel alone. It's like you are about to change so much. But I don't know, just at the end of the day, like be a good person. And like, yeah, it goes back to surrounding yourself with like people, like great people that you're super happy to be around. And those are just people that like talk behind people's back, like you don't want to really surround yourself with.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. I think, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I could see him tonight.
Yeah, you can see him tonight.
So I very much am like, what am I going to do if he's in there? Am I just going to ignore? I think I'm just going to not ignore him, but just like, I don't know.
Get the pump of your life going, and then give him like a subtle like head nod.
Yeah, and then the finger.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that because then I'm the main person.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, if you have any advice that you think of between now and when you leave, I'd love to hear it. But
yeah,
going back to the business for a minute, what are you most excited about as you think about like the next I don't want to put a time limit on it. Let me just ask the question. What are you most excited about right now?
I think I'm just most excited to like bring projects to life and like work with like amazing people that are like dedicated to like building something great. Like I think it's just very special when you surround yourself with people that like want to do like a kick-ass thing and like want to succeed in this. That's just like something motivating to surround yourself with. So the team, George and Brandon, so excited to grow with them. So excited to grow Spacebar Visuals. Our product's going to keep getting better. We're going to keep finding new ways to get customers, and it's definitely going to be a grind the next however many years. But it's something that I'm super looking forward to, and I know they are as well. And we're all aligned on the vision. We all know what we want. So yeah, it is really full-fledged ahead, and I'm so excited to be able to doing it full time now. So yeah, there's so much to look forward to in the future. But yeah, we're at ground zero. We're going to start building.
Hell yeah. Are they here in Austin?
Brandon is in New York. George is in Milwaukee. Milwaukee.
Where's that?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Where's that?
That is about an hour north of Chicago.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Great city. Honestly, great city. I went to Chicago for the first time, or Milwaukee for the first time this past year in June. Great city. It was a lot of fun. It was a small Chicago, river right through the city. Good vibe to it. Young people. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed Milwaukee.
Do you guys have plans to see each other in the near future?
Yeah, we're actually going to Phoenix here in about 3 weeks. Brandon, George, and I were meeting up in Phoenix to just do a little offsite.
Why Phoenix?
It's warm.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
fair.
It's warm.
It's the desert.
Yeah, it's the desert.
That's what my coworker calls it. Whenever someone asks him where he lives, he says the desert.
The desert. The Arizona is very much the desert. But yeah, we'll be going to Phoenix. Super excited to see them in person. I've seen Brandon before in person. Haven't seen George. So yeah, we're excited. We'll get a lot done. We'll go through everything, and yeah, we'll keep finding ways to grow it.
So mainly work related, but has some fun as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, of course. We're there for 3 days. We're gonna do work. We're gonna get in. We're gonna do what we need to do. We're gonna get out, and we'll have fun. I think we have some team. I don't want to say team bonding experiences. That sounds way too corporate-y, and I don't want to be corporate at all. But we have some things planned that we're gonna do that I'm super excited for. It's a great team. They're A players. I'm excited.
Are you talking about the team getting together in person? Oh, the 3 podcasts. Would you care to give them a shout out, or would you prefer not to?
Yeah, one moment. Let me check this is my pump, so it gives me insulin. It was kind of going off.
Gotcha.
So the 3 podcasts. So yeah, we have Tech Guide. You guys can definitely check it out if you're looking to break into tech or just want advice on how to get into tech. Healthy Leads. We talk about AI and marketing, which is super fun, super trendy that we talk about, especially within like the healthcare space. And the third one I do is called Succession Link, where I interview people, financial advisors that have sold their practice to give advice to those that are wanting to sell their practice. So you can check any of them out. Healthy Leads, Tech Guide, Secession Link. So yeah, definitely give them a listen.
That sounds crazy, man, because you have to like switch your mindset so much.
It is crazy.
Because that just sounds crazy as someone who has one show where we just sort of talk about more stories, a little bit about the mental health space, cover people's journeys, but like those are three very specific topics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in all three of those topics. And like, if you're going to start a podcast, as you know, like do something like you're interested about. Like personal journeys are so cool. Those are like my favorite type of podcast interview because like you get to hear how someone was raised, how they were shaped, and like feel like there's a lot to take away from that.
Yeah. Are you dating anyone right now?
I am not. I am very single in Austin. I had a girlfriend for 2 years in college, broke up going into senior year. But yeah, I've been single now for 3 years, 3 years. Yeah. And I don't know. Austin dating's tough. Austin dating is very, very tough.
Tell me why.
Oh, there's just so many options that people can choose from. Everyone's in good shape. Everyone's like
This is true.
Everyone's pretty ambitious. Like, if you have one red flag, they'll go right down the street to say, oh, maybe that person doesn't have that red flag. That person has a red flag, and it's just a vicious cycle. That's how I take it. And I actually think I'm really big on Hinge, and Bumble are like bad for society. Just because.
Wonderful. I'm so happy this came up. Not the opinion, but just the apps in general. So why do you think they're bad?
Yeah, like it just adds some more options as well. And like you're always just swiping. It's just like to me like an inauthentic way to like meet somebody. Authentic relationships have definitely happened from it. My sister's getting married to someone she met on Hinge, so shout out to Hinge for that. But it's just in a city like Austin, Texas, where there's already so many options when you go out to a bar scene. When you add Hinge to that, where people can just kind of hide under the covers of Hinge, be like, oh, I'm not going to talk to someone tonight because like I'm just going to go on Hinge tomorrow and maybe it'll spark up. I don't know. I think they're bad for society. What's your take on Hinge and Bumble and all those?
So I have an interesting take on those because I think that all of them, regardless of which one you call it, I think in my experience, that's all I'm going to speak on. They're all hookup apps.
Yeah.
So if you want to hook up with someone, get on there.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something serious, don't get on there.
Yeah.
But then just like 3 weeks ago, I had a matchmaker on the show.
Okay,
and
sick.
And her take was choose one app because mostly everyone is on all of them.
Yeah.
So choose one. And the long short was choose one, be on it, but also hit on people organically.
For sure.
Even if the person you're hitting on says no, there could be someone, especially if you're at somewhere like Barton Springs.
Yeah.
There could be someone within earshot who might hear that and be like, oh, that's sort of cool. And then they might approach you and be like, hey, I happen to be single and I saw that you hit on that person and you got rejected. Sorry, but would you want to date me? And so I liked her take on be proactive and choose one app, but also, that your friends know that like, hey, if they happen to meet someone who's also looking, you're open to introductions or whatever the organic efforts are.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes back to what I think is bad about Hinge and why so many people ghost is because like they could go on a date with you on a Wednesday, and if you don't have plans, they will never see you again. So there's no accountability to it. So if you want to organically meet someone in person, do like a kickball league where you're seeing this person every single week. You start to get like a vibe check of like, oh, would I actually like to date them? Would I not like to date them? And then at the end of the day, I hate to say it, but like guys that like at some point just kind of need to like shoot their shot with them in person. It's just way to cut through the noise. I feel like girls like love that. So, and it's counterintuitive thinking. There's less competition. It's harder, but there's less competition if you ask a girl out in person, just because I feel like that puts you ahead of the game so much further. So, yeah, I don't know. That's dating. It's tough in Austin, Texas. I'm sure it's tough everywhere, but that's kind of a few takes on it.
I guess that is an interesting take, though. Is there's so many options. Like
there's
it's
so
better
many
than
options.
the opposite of like.
Yeah, there's
what town did I just move to? Where like
true.
everyone's married except I am.
Yeah,
in
that's
this
true.
10,000 person town.
Yeah.
What do you think dating is like in your hometown?
People in Iowa, which is very funny. People in Iowa get married very young. Like very, very young. I was going to weddings of my friends when I was like 22.
Wow.
Yeah. And like some of them, like, yes, they were dating for like 7 years, like since high school type of thing. But some of them have been dating for like 2 years and like they're already getting married. So dating my hometown, I would not date someone from my hometown like right now in my life just because it's so small. I don't live there. But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. There's not a lot of options there. But when you get so many options, then it becomes the paradox of choice where it's like, oh, well, like which one do I really, really want? So, and as we talked about, everyone's healthy here. Everyone's ambitious. Everyone's trying to be a better person.
So cool.
Yeah.
And weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you got to do interesting things like host a podcast. Like that's a super interesting thing. Go to Africa by yourself. Go to Japan by yourself. Like I feel like these things like make you stand out.
Yeah.
Just from a personal development perspective, but you can bring those into dates and be like, oh my God, you went on a safari by yourself? Like, holy shit, that's cool.
Yeah. And even like job interviews, like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
it just elevates your life, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. So do cool things, do cool experiences, like keep improving on yourself. But yeah, I don't know. I'm single. A lot of my friends here, they have girlfriends or they came with girlfriends. Me and my roommate are both pretty single. My roommate's kind of, I don't know, but like kind of single, kind of not, I guess.
Okay.
Shout out to Mark. I love Mark.
Shout out Mark.
Yeah, shout out to Mark. Mark's literally like my best friend. I love that kid to death. But I guess he's kind of single, kind of not. I don't know. But yeah, it's a little tough. I don't know. I'm worried at some like age of like, it's so hard here where it's like, is that a reason I leave Austin, Texas at some point? It's like, at some point, like I'm going to want to start a family. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't have any really desire right now. I hate to say it, but at some point it will be. And it's like, it's so hard here. Maybe in a smaller town like Des Moines or Milwaukee or Minneapolis, it would be easier.
Minneapolis is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Minneapolis is actually like the same size as Austin, but it's just a different psyche there. Midwest people like to get married young. They love to have relationships. Austin, Texas is a little bit different in my experience.
Yeah, well, it's only been a year and a half, and you've been
True.
busy, so don't give up yet.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not giving
I'm sure
up.
it hasn't been like top of mind for you, where you're just like every single Friday going out to.
Yeah, no. I honestly like dating to me. Like I love to have a partner in life, but like I don't need a girlfriend right now in my life. I'm just so busy with so many things, and like I really want to focus on like getting Spacebar Visuals and Magic Media to a place where I'm like super like this is awesome. It already is awesome, but like to a point where you're like holy shit.
I mean, you just quit your full-time job.
Exactly.
Come on now.
Like I have my priorities more on my professional life, but I may pay for that later in life. I'm sure I will, but I don't know. I'll accept those consequences.
So let's just say by happenstance, if someone happened to listen to this episode,
Yeah.
and she's in Austin, Texas, and she loved everything that she heard
Oh,
today.
hit me up.
Okay,
Hit me up.
I was really hoping you weren't going to say like, it's a bad time. Don't be sliding into my
Oh,
DMs.
I'm not that. I
Okay.
am not that. I am not that at all. No.
So slide on in, everybody.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I still have like expectations for a girlfriend. Like I'm not just gonna date anyone. Like there definitely has to be a match there, of course, but like also like I want to know like make sure like you want to do well in your professional life as well. That's just what I value right now. So
how do you? Give me outside of looks, because obviously we want to be attracted to our partners.
yeah, you have to. I hate that. Like, you have to be attracted to your partner. They like looks talk.
Right. Yeah. So
like
setting that aside, what would be a green flag? What would be a red flag?
That's a great question. I only have 2 red flags. I believe you cannot have a lot of red flags. 2 red flags. One is if like you like don't believe in God. I'm Christian. Like you have to believe in God. And 2 is like if you're not like active, if like you don't work out and stuff. Like that's just like a red flag to me. So there's my 2 red flags. Green flags. I should think about them a little bit harder, but like just like personal development, like to read, like to work out. Those are green flags for me. Just mature. I wouldn't date someone like immature anymore. Yeah. I don't know, stable too. I could use not stability, but someone that's just stable.
Right. Would you describe yourself as stable? I mean, given the trajectory of your life over the last year?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely.
Stably unstable?
Yeah. I would say like mentally, I'm a very stable person. Like I am very stable. Like I kind of do some stuff like random shit, like go to Japan by myself that might be viewed unstable, or like quit my job that's also viewed as unstable. But I'd be curious your green and red flags, because we got a 12-year age gap here. Like what are like red flags you consider? Because there's definitely there's a 12-year age gap. I'm considered at what stage of life? Like I don't know. Like what are your green and red flags?
Red flags would be smoking. For sure.
Cigarettes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you've ever made out with someone who smokes, but it's disgusting.
I have not, but that would be a red flag
it's
for me.
So
actually,
gross.
Yeah.
You can't kiss them.
That's
you
fair.
literally feel like you're putting your mouth in that chimney.
I wouldn't even go on a date.
licking it. So just to give you some perspective,
okay.
Save yourself the trauma.
I have a new red flag I'm putting out in the back of my pocket.
I mean, I guess it might sort of be. There's probably not a lot of Christians that smoke, so that one might be like a given. But so I would say a red flag would be smoking. And actually, Kita, the matchmaker, she told me, I haven't thought about it a lot. The homework she gave me is I've been slacking on like a high schooler. But I'm having another matchmaker on in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm determined to have all of the homework from that episode done so we can have like an update episode.
Yeah.
I would say a green flag is also, I think someone that also has either need to be like very, very passionate about their day job, or similar to me, they need to have a hobby that they're very passionate about. Whether it, and the hobby could be anything. So if it was painting, great. If they're a voracious reader and they spend 7 hours on their Saturday reading, great. Like, I don't think I really have too many caveats on what the thing is. I just don't want them to sort of be, I feel like if they did it, they might sort of be waiting on me like in the evenings and on the weekends. And
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah.
Like we're gonna obviously we'll love each other. But the couple, I hate to bring them up, but I'm gonna bring them up. Do you watch House of Cards by chance?
I didn't. I want to watch House of Cards though.
Frank and Claire, Robin Wright Penn and Kevin, not Costner. I always forget his name. Who's the one that got kicked off the show? Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
They're like this power couple where he sort of has his work in the government and she has her own nonprofit. And their marriage does have some up and downs throughout the show. But what I like is they sort of have a strong sense of loyalty to each other. And because they both have their own things that they're passionate about, they sort of come back together in the evenings. And then in the evening, as they're eating dinner, they're both sort of talking about like the highs and lows of their days. And I just really love their relationship dynamic. On the good points.
On the good points. Not the bad points, the good points.
Like, one season she like cheats on him, so they're definitely not like the ideal couple, right? There's some flops in there. And they also murder a few people, so ethically they're not really like...
That's a red flag for me. If someone murders someone, that's a red flag for me.
But if you take out the murder and the cheating...
great.
It is sort of a cool... It's just, I admire their dynamic together, so...
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, there's so many like, I don't know, like that's what I'm thinking about. There's so many different stages of like from like 20 to 25 is a completely different stage from like 25 to 30. I feel like I don't know. I haven't lived it yet. Is that true? Or like, give me some advice here.
I don't really have any advice. I would say, you're already doing things that you want to do with your life, which is great. You just quit your full-time job. Thinking about last night and also some other things that have happened over the last 10 years, I would say don't be afraid to do things that scare you. Yeah. Oftentimes they end up not being anywhere near as scary as you think they are, and you just overpsych yourself. But no, there's definitely phases. Another guest, the way he verbalized it is he feels like every 6 to 10 years we shed our skin. Not in a bad way, but like as you look back on your life, you sort of see like this evolution. But I know I've definitely matured a lot. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd say it's just the fear thing. I'm going to fall back on that for your quick advice as you go through your 20s, even when it comes to like hitting on people. Yeah. If it's someone that you see in like a grocery store. Yeah. I've hit on a few people in HEBs since I've been in Austin.
Hell yeah.
You might literally never see that person again. And if they're smoking hot, there's one box that's checked. Yeah. So far, all of the interactions have been pretty positive. I'll just tell them something like, I found you super attractive and I couldn't not say something. And they usually give me a big smile and a thank you, and then we part ways. And it would be worse than the thing I would tell people is, think about the regret you have laying in bed that night wondering if you just missed out on your wife or husband.
Dude, seriously, this is something that I had so many regrets from like high school that I did not tell like a girl like I liked her, that I was like really, really liked her. And there's just other girls that have come up where I was like, I never told them like my feelings. And like, I do not want to be lying in bed however age I am, like regretting, like not telling someone like how I feel. And so that's been a big thing for me the past like years, like do stuff where like you won't regret like doing it. Like you won't regret like taking that impulsive trip to Africa. Promise you will not regret that.
I believe you.
Yeah. Or like striking up that conversation with someone on the boardwalk. Like I've done that before, but like, I really like want to live a life where like I don't regret doing like something, or like I regret not doing something. And just those little sparkles of moments that you have with someone in like HEB, like you never know what it could lead to.
You never know.
it's seriously like such like a wonderful life, and like I don't know, there's so many beautiful moments to appreciate.
Yeah, I don't regret ever hitting on someone. It will go. I have a feeling one of them might go poorly eventually.
Get your shots.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. Does everyone say yes to the podcast?
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but, probably like 40% have said yes.
Yeah. Wow, really? This is a good podcast.
Does that seem high or low? If I'm getting a 60% non-response rate,
that's actually probably pretty consistent with me. That's actually pretty good.
I
don't know why people don't come on podcasts. Podcasts are so much fun.
I've had some people block me.
What?
I think that's have you had that happen where you send them a message and then I'll be scrolling through to re-message people that never message me back, and I'll see like someone block me, and it's because on Instagram when they block you, the message will stay there and it just says like user not found or something, and then I can click on it and the message will still be there and it will say, hey Ryan, da.
So the reason I actually said yes to coming on this podcast is because you messaged me on LinkedIn, I believe, which is like, this is just like a blanketed message, like I don't care. But then I went to Instagram and then you messaged me on there. I was like, oh, this guy's like legit.
Oh,
like,
cool. That works.
Yeah. So
cool.
So I was like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, so it was the double message that worked. Because like, yeah, it was that Instagram message. I was like, oh, this dude's like actually like legit. Like, what's up? Let's have on this podcast. Yes. And I'm happy I did.
I'm happy you did too. And thank you so much for that feedback. I appreciate that.
Of course.
And I think you really like the video too. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on those when I send people a video as a follow-up message.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the 60% doesn't bother me. If anything, I think it just makes us more tenacious as people.
For sure, yeah. It is something. There is something special about like just putting in the work and being like getting those people that don't reply, but the people that do reply, they're like, hell yeah, come on the podcast.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say, I don't know if you experience this, and I don't know if this could be projected onto like dating somehow, but like there is a guy I messaged recently, and it was 6 months since my original message. And he apologized and was just like, dude, I'm so down to come on. I marked you as red and it got buried. Yeah. So sometimes you don't know when people aren't actually rejecting you. We're busy. You're busy.
Yeah, I'm busy. We're all busy. We're all busy bees in a busy bee world.
If you're not a busy bee, that's a red flag. Stay away.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, that approach definitely stuck with me. So, yeah, I don't know. I appreciate this podcast. It's an awesome podcast.
Well, I also apologize if my cursing offended you. I do that a lot. I didn't realize you were a Christian.
I curse a lot. Curse, you said?
Curse. Saying like the F word.
Oh, I rip it all the time. I think I curse like 15 times.
Okay, cool. So I haven't offended you at all today.
No.
Well, as soon as you said you were a Christian, I was like, darn it. I've offended the man. Dude, he's never going to come back on.
I'm pretty sure I dropped the F-bomb on here.
Okay, good.
I will rip the hell. I'll rip the hell out of it, yeah.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we did talk about if you're interested in dating, how to find you. We talked about your podcast. Is there any other way that if someone wanted to? We just talked about.
Yeah.
You do check your LinkedIn. So
I do check LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn. You guys can definitely connect with me on there. Instagram, I'm also active on there. I think my handle's Ryan Atkinson 17. No spaces. So yeah, I'm pretty easily to get a hold of. Ryan at spacebarvisuals.com. Ryan at magicmedia.group. Yeah, I don't know. Super accessible. I'm always happy to talk with people. I love talking to people. I love helping with people. When I posted my LinkedIn, not to go down a whole tangent, but when I posted my LinkedIn post yesterday or Monday about like quitting my job, like someone reached out like, oh my God, I want to start a company someday. Like I'm a senior in college. Like, do you have a chat? And I was like, oh my God, it's like a full circle moment. I was like, fuck yeah. What? See,
there it is.
I was like, yeah,
Fuck yeah.
I was like, heck yeah, I'll have a chat with you. Like, why not? So yeah, I don't know. I'm always happy to give back to people that are interested in talking.
I didn't see that one. I'll try to find it at the gym tonight, and I'll comment on it.
I appreciate that.
Get it in front of more people and give them hope.
I appreciate that.
Anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap things up?
I think we covered it all. This was an awesome episode. You're an awesome host. You like honestly did a great job. It was super conversational. So yeah, I'm super excited for the show. You will do a live episode. You will, and I will be there for you.
Fuck yeah, and I'll be in Africa.
Yes, you will.
So those are two things that are on the way.
It's 2024. Here we go.
All right, Ryan. Well, really good chatting with you tonight, man. Everyone, if you stuck around with us for the last hour and 45 minutes, first of all, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. If you liked Ryan's episode and you want to help spread the word to other entrepreneurs, other people, I know that there's a large high school audience. I'd like to keep reaching even more high schoolers because I think that a lot of the things we talk talked about are really relevant to those folks. But we did our job by showing up and having the conversation. Do your job, whatever platform you listened on tonight. Give us a rating. If it's a YouTube, subscribe to the show and help us spread this thing to a few more ears. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, and we will see you next Saturday. Bye, everybody.